So State Effect, welcome to State Effects with EFL Designs. I am Jacky Elliot of EFL Designs, and I'm proud to say that I have probably more use of State Effects than anybody else, and that is something that I've come to love in an effect. The effect is very, very powerful, and look, if you can think outside of the box, you can really get a lot out of the State Effect. So I'm hoping to spark some ideas from you guys, and maybe you can help bring it a little further than what I even do, so we can help grow the State Effect, a highly underrated effect in X-Lights. So let's get started. State Effects. What is State Effects? State Effects is a lot like faces. Okay, it's very much like faces. It has automations, and it also can just be used to statically light things up. I think that's probably one of the original use case scenarios for states, was to just light things up a certain way and make things look pretty. And it done a great job. But with a few alterations to the State Effect itself in X-Lights, we were able to make it fully automated and allow some movement really easily. It already had that before I got a hold of it, but with what we've done, we made it a little easier to use. And Keith Wesley is the one who pretty much has built everything to the State Effects and the way it is now. There has been some modifications and some fixes made by Scott Hansen. So it's definitely been a team effort to get some of these things going. States is very powerful. Again, it's underrated, underused, underutilized, but if you figure it out and you're able to understand the uses of it, you can apply it to every single prop in your show. And I'm hoping to show you how that's done. So let's talk about states. Let's see what it is. First off, right now I have the snowman chose, so he's a pretty good prop to utilize that in. So states, you pick it over here in the models property, go into your three little dots, and you have states. Just like a face effect, you have a bunch of different options and such. With this one here, boy, it looks like there's a few things missing. With this one here, you have a static face. Yeah, it seems like there's a few things missing, so this may not be a good model. Let me take a look at some other options here. Let me bring in another prop. EFL Designs, Christmas Singers. And let's bring in let's bring in the first one that we actually used it on, and that is the Nellis gnome. And this was the reason why we made some modifications, to be able to use the Nellis gnome. So the Nellis gnome, let's look at the states on it. We have eyes 3, 4, static, and then regular things. But let's look at the static here. Let's talk about the static. This is the way things will light up if you just use the static shape here. And this is really good because this right here is what you can use for any prop in your display. You can light up any prop statically by using the states. You don't have to light up every single submodel or every different thing. You can actually light up the entire model with as many colors as you want. Well, let's take that back. Up to 200 colors, okay? Which if you outdo that, then that's pretty neat. You can statically light up any prop that you have and have it on all the time and still have effects running across the top of it. There's a few things that I'll show you to help you do that even better than just like this, but this one is defined for use with the face. That's why there's no mouth involved. This particular prop does not use the eyes in the face, so we don't want that in any of your props anyway if we're using it for the state as outline. But this one is just the outlines and it's colored in. This is therefore a static face. Eyes 2, let's take a look at that. Eyes 2 is because it matches the face effect 2. and I have a blue color here. And what it does is it's actually lighting up the different parts. And I'm using black to actually black out parts of it that I don't want. So we'll talk about how that works in a little more detail here in just a second. But I want to bring this in and show you how this works in the sequencer, and then I'll come back to show you how this is built. All right, so go to the sequencer. Since I just brought that in, I'm going to edit my display elements, and the Metronome, there it is, should be at the bottom of my list now. So if I double click, open up the submodels, you'll notice that we have all the different parts here. And we could absolutely light up everything by using the on effect or different effects. But the easiest way to do this is by using the face effect. I want to put the face effect in here. And as it is right now, I have Nellis 2, which is the blue colors. If I want Nellis 4, I'll be the red colors, and we'll just stick right there. Hopefully that's easy to see on your screen. Let me stretch this out just slightly. So this is the neat part about this. It can work on its own. I can add different parts to it, give it different, mouth positions and do different things. So you'll see how it actually should be working. If I want to affect the eyes, which are defined in the states, of course, I'm going to use the states. So I'm going to increase my row count here, add a layer above. I'm going to bring in the state effect right here. And I want to make sure that I'm matching for this one in particular. We'll go to eyes 4 so that the colors match. And what that has done is that, let me just close this out, make this a little bigger. What that has done is it's added red here. It's added white here. It's added the blue here. And it's also added black here. Right? So here's black in these areas here. That's kind of key to getting some things to work, is a lot of times you're going to have to black things out because you'll have a stationary position. You'll see that a lot better with the running deer. But let's take a look. You'll see that you have the red here, and it goes away because it's blackened out. Let me shorten this up so it does it a little faster and we can describe what's going on a little better. All right. So it's going to open its eyes up. All these colors are being added to this while the black is being put here, and give it the animation of opening its eyes underneath the hat. Okay, so this is the very first animated prop that I made with states. And so you kind of see what we've done there. One of the things that we did when we made this is Keith was allowed the use of the same thing at the same time. So if I have a call for an E, everything is going to happen that's called for E. It used to didn't work that way, and that was a little limiting, but Keith fixed that for us. And when you see this, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back to states for the Metronome. I have an E, an E, an E. Anytime E is called, all of these will get affected. Right, so let's go to eyes 4. All these are going to be affected. Here's the E. This is the blue. So when E it happens, we have the eyes pupils here. When E happens here, we have the round part of the eyes light up. And when the E happens here, we have the black that light well takes away light. It's called those dark absorbers. Or light absorbers. We take out the light here so that there is no bottom brim of the hat. And then the E here is the top portion of the hat. And what that does is that allows you to move things. All we're doing is turning off sections and turning on sections. And by doing that, we're mimicking movement. So states is really good for that. Let me get out of this section here and let's talk about the movement. I don't know why this one is not showing it. I wish it did, but it's not. Okay, but we'll be able to show you some of this anyway. So we got mid arm and we have upper arm. we have a different shape here for everything. And there's been some different modifications for this, so I'm hoping to be able to fix this back up and get it right. But I'm going to show you how this works so that you can kind of see our normal position. Our normal position is with the matter of fact, let's get this lit up so you can see it before we change it. Go to the sequencer. Here's the EFL snowman. Look at the normal position. He's kind of angry here. That's what we done in our last little session. We made a angry face. And this is his stationary position. Let's just say that. I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a layer above. It's important to do the layer above your face effect when you're using the states. I'll show you why that is here in just a second. Take a look right here. What we're going to do is we're going to choose mid arm. And what's happening, what you may or may not be able to see, look, this arm gets blacked out here. Okay, it gets blacked out and then the arm position moves up. So the positions that we're adding here is black across here, and then an orange here, and a maroon for the glove. And all that happens at the exact same time. Now, this can also be done by a timing track. And that's what's kind of cool about this as well, is that we can use timing tracks for that. Let me right click this, add timing track. We're just going to make it empty. And I'm going to say, okay. This timing track is, let's just make some points here just for places to go. I'm hitting the T bar here. I'm going to shift and double click in here. And I am going to say mid arm. Okay. And then I'm going to shift and double click here. And I'm going to say upper arm. All right. Now, when I push this and tell it to go to timing track, I select the empty timing track here. Let me get back off, on, and refresh that. Oh, you know what? It's under new timing, which is fine. That's okay. But it's not giving me the option. Oh, that's because I'm not on state. Sorry. All right. Timing track, new timing. Here we go. So what you're going to see, let me get this stretched out here all the way. What you're going to see is as mid arm comes up and then upper arm comes up, that it's going to just follow along. So here's mid arm, upper arm's not working. So let's go see why. Might be a good little lesson for me myself here. So go to states, and it's because it's one word. That's why. That is also a quirk of X-Lights, is lowercase and one word. Go back to the sequencer, and I'm going to shift double click that, and I'm going to fix that right up. Okay. So now you'll see that when this happens, it's going to go mid arm, upper arm, and then back down. So I'm doing that with a timing track. I can change these speeds by doing this. And I can continue to adjust that and make the speeds happen. So let's talk about how we create this. Let's go to the layout. Let's take a look. So states, the first thing you would do is click add. Okay. You would click add, and let's just name it. I want to name it delete me, because I want to delete it afterwards. All right. So what we start out with is blank. And what I want to do is create motion of sorts. And I want to do that by creating the motion that we need here. I have two colors that I need for these arms, but I also have a third color that I need for other things. So let's do this. I'm going to force these colors because that's really how it works. I'm going to choose the orange for this section here. And I'm going to pick and choose. It does not matter what order you pick these in, because there is no direction like submodels. I'm going to call this, let's call this 1. You'll see why in just a second. I'm going to also call this one 1 because I'm going to have this one called at the same time. Let's choose the color. I think it's this color. We'll go with that. Now we're going to do 2 here. And this time, what I'm going to do is import submodel. Let's see if I can do that on this. Arm high. Let's try that. There's the arm high. I'm going to give it the colors. And I'm going to go 2. So you see 2 different methods of bringing this in. If you have the submodels, you can right click and bring in the submodels. And I want the mitten high this time. And I'm going to give it this color. So we got 1, 2. And let's do this. Control C. Well, I double clicked. I clicked it too fast. Control V. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. Now, what I'm doing here is creating a repeating pattern. Okay. This pattern is being repeated because of a default. And that default, when you do a beats track or something like that, that beats track, if you do it by default, comes in 4. So I could do this. I could absolutely do it with 1 and 2, but by default, since that comes in 4, why not do it that way? It's a little bit of a start right here, but it's absolutely the hardest part's being done now, and the rest of it's easy. Do all the hard work on the beginning, and well, that's the wrong color, and then let the easy work be done. Now the next part about this is I need to black out this, but I want to need to do it for 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick these. I'm just clicking and dragging. And if by chance I click the wrong one here, I would hold my shift key down and just drag across those and get rid of them. Or you can double click them, make them go away. Same thing, Control C, Control V, actually Control V, there we go. Control V. And then I'm going to choose black. Now notice that arm goes away because of the way it looks. I'm going to choose black again. So your stationary positions will be there, and then you'll need to black those out and bring in another movement. When you do that, you'll have to make sure that your colors match. So if you have a different color, you come in here and adjust the color to make it work. Sometimes you may have your team colors, or you may have whatever you're supporting. You may want to pick their colors, but not only do you have to fix the face definition colors to match, you'll have to fix the states to match as well. And of course, it'll be worth it in the end. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 on a repeat pattern. I'm going to hit OK. Actually, did I even name that? I don't think I did. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, I did. Delete me. You know what? I'm going to keep this. So I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it Beats, just because that's what I'm going to use it with. All right, so hit OK. I'll save that, go to the sequencer, and I'm going to find my snowman. But let's do this. Let me do a new sequence. Let me discard the changes. I need something here that has, we'll delete that. So I have music here. I also have a beat count, but I'm going to show you how to bring that in. But before we do, let's take a look at it. The beats has this repeating pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to utilize that with our stuff. But here's how you would bring that in if you don't know how. You have to have the Queen Mary plug-in for this. You would add the timing track. You would go down here to your beats, right? Just beats. Click on beats, hit OK. And here's where your default is. It's set on 4, right? So that 4 is why we're getting a repeat pattern of 4. If I were to change this, we could get different numbers, but we're going to leave it at 4 because that is default and we have it defined that way. I'm going to hit OK. And just going to turn this off and make life a little easier to see. We have a beats count here that has numbers. And that's going to happen on the beats. And so whenever I come down to my snowman, where are you hiding, snowman? Oh, may have to bring it in. So edit display elements and snowman. There you are. Okay. So snowman. What I need to do now is I'm going to bring in the faces and I'm going to show outline, and he is on angry face. Let's do a timing track. Let's do lyric mains. And here's a little trick. Click in the middle, Control Shift, left arrow, right arrow, and that will fill it in to the end or to the next effect. Right click, and look, I'm going to mess this up on purpose so you can see the effect and why it's messed up. So we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. I'm going to put a state effect in here. Look at this conglomeration. We have 3 arms, and that's not right. That's because of the render order, and I want to change this to timing track, and I'm going to change it to beat count, and that's where your 1, 2, 3, 4 happens. Let's see, but we want to also pick the right state definition. So when you're going through here, make sure you go from top to bottom and line everything up. So right now we're getting the waving arm action that we defined, and it's happening to the beats. If I were to play it, you would be able to hear the beats, and he's sitting there waving. But the problem is we still have this arm. When we've already defined it as black, it should have went away. It should be covered up, but it's not. And the reason why that is because these are out of order. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to insert another layer below, and I'm going to move this one up, move this one down. And what you're going to see now is when this starts working is that we're going to black out that lower arm, and we're going to make it wave properly. And now he's happy. Okay, so that's easy enough to understand. There's a few other things that you can do and make things happen a certain pattern. So let's just say that you want a certain pattern. You can go in and adjust these, but let's add a timing track. Let's do empty for now. Hit OK. And then in this empty, we're going to, let's just drag in right here for this distance. And I'm going to hit the T mark, and that gives us a timing. Shift, double click, and I'm going to hit 1 dash, gotta be comma, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to Control C, and I'm going to Control V, 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 and then I'm going to Control C, and I'm going to repeat this pattern quite a few times. V, 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 V. Okay, so what I have is a repetitive 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4 is in one timing mark. So what would you expect to happen If I go to, oh, let's see, got to get the right one, empty, right? It's just not quite going to work right. Here's empty, and we got this state definition is beat, so we should be going 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's not. It's acting a little funky. Let's watch it in real time. Let's move this over here. And what you'll see is that whenever this comes up to the states and starts playing through it, it's just going to kind of lock itself up. The reason why it's doing that is because we're on one timing mark. So instead of creating a whole bunch of timing marks and put 1, 2, 3, 4 in between them, what we need to do is we need to fix this state in a different mode. Right now we're at default. So you have default, you have countdown, you have time countdown, number, and iterate. For our purposes, default and iterate are the only ones we're worried about. Countdowns, those are something you can use if you're using a countdown on a matrix or a LED display or something, and numbers the same way. But iterate is what's going to allow us to utilize this 1, 2, 3, 4 all in one different timing mark. I can speed this up, or I can slow it down by the distance, or I can take a few things out. Now, this is the old way of doing things, but you want to see how this works. Now, there is a new way of doing it, which makes a little bit easier. Let's go to add timing track, and we're going to add metronome with tags. So Scott recently added this to X-Lights, and what this does is we're going to be using a metronome that we can define the time, and we can have a repeating time, or we can change this to whatever numbers we want. 4 is default, so we'll stay there. 250 millisecond timing mark. At the moment, I have no idea how fast that is. So let's just hit OK. I'm going to turn this off so that we can see this easier. Drop down to my state, click on it, and then I'm going to pick that timing track. All right, that's pretty good speed. It's actually not that bad, right? So it has nothing to do with the beats, nothing to do with the any other timing, other than the fact that I'm telling it to wave at a certain pace by using that. If I wanted to go slower or faster, what I would do is also do a metronome with tags, hit OK, and I would change this to, let's say, 500 milliseconds. So it should slow it down. And when I change this to the 500 millinome, oh, look, it's not there. What I have to do is get off of it and wake it up, do the 500. So now it's slowed down by half. And this works too, but you see the speeds will change according to the milliseconds. If you want it to speed up, lower numbers, you want to slow down, higher numbers. That works pretty good. Let's go back to the layout and take a look at another problem. Let's take a look at this. I want to end right here on this one, because this one actually uses a lot of states for its motion. And I want to show you how to use some of these for statics. So I'm going to kind of shift gears just a little bit. So states, take a look at this. I have a static state. I like to name mine static. You can name it whatever makes sense to you. But static is just that. It is a state not meant to be moving. It is just there to light it up. And you can use this in your face definitions now. This allows us to create as many face definition colors as we want. Outlines are always defined in the face definitions. You have outline and outline 2. You can utilize the eyes 2 and 3 if you want to for further outlines, but that still maxes you out at 4 outline colors. If you need more than that, then states is the way to go. I think states is a great way to go, even if you don't need that many. So let's take a look at how this is used. Hair, of course, that's defined as your hair. Let's get this zoomed out just slightly here so you can see it. It's actually awkward for me to see it, so hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. Nose, So I'm defining all of these different components as the different parts that I need. And I have this defined now. I'm gonna hit OK, get out of here, save it. Let's go back to the sequencer and let's see if he is in here. Where is Evil Clown? Right there. All right, let me turn off that. Evil Clown, right? So let's put the face effect on here. And you see just the eyes, the brows, and the mouth right here. If I say show outline, it lights it up because I have in the face definition, I have this predefined forced colors. But if you choose no colors, at that point, you're changing colors up here. That's something to do with the faces and the way it works. So I'm not going to get into that. We discussed that a little bit earlier. But what you can do with your states, right here, use states as outline. I can choose that use states. What it does not do is overwrite the colors of the mouth and the eyes because that is defined in the face. So what I want to do is change the colors. And I have the eyes is let's change to red and get rid of that. All right, so what I've done is I'm choosing my eye color and I'm choosing my mouth color in the face, but the rest of the prop is being lit up by the state as outlined, called static. All right, so that makes life easy. What you can do by creating static states is if you have this prop, let's say you have a toy soldier or something that has multiple colors in it, right? Lots of colors. You can go in and define the colors on that and then put the state effect on there and only use it. So watch what happens if I just use the state effect here. So here's the state AB. Look, the state come in static, but of course it doesn't include the eyes because it's purpose built for the faces. So it doesn't include that, but there it is. It is there. So you can do this same thing for any prop that you have. That's why I think that states is actually a great thing. Let's go back to the layout and pick a prop. Okay. I'm going to pick this one because I know it's already there. Let's take a look at this. I have a state defined in this on a matrix. It's called static again because that just makes sense to me. What I've defined in here is the outline and the hanger, and I have them colored, but I don't have them just colored any color. I want to show you what I've done. This is a light looking color, so you know things go over it. Let's see. Let me cancel that one. This one here, I can go in and change this color if I wanted blue or if I wanted whatever color I wanted. So all this works just fine. If I click right here on state in any of your buildings, it will light up every color that you have defined. So this state right here, clicking right here will light up everything. Double clicking will bring you to that. So if you want to see what colors you have defined, you can actually click state and light everything up. Now, what this does for me is I'm creating a static state that I can go to my sequencer. And let's see, is that in here on a matrix? There we go. And I'm just going to drop a state on here. And that state is just lighting it up and will happen across the whole thing. It will always stay lit up and it will never go away. But I can still sequence over the top of it by double clicking this and open up my stuff. If you'll notice what I have a lot of effects happening on the hanger, but it's happening over top of my state effect because of the render order. Now, this is one of those cases to where if you want something to stay lit up all the time, and I'll give you a prime example of something you need lit up all the time, and that is a tune to sign. Okay. If you have a tune to sign that only comes on part of your show, then people will miss it and ask you, hey, do you got a radio station? Well, this way you can create a static state for your tune to sign and have it lit up with as many colors as you need. You can name your colors for your actual numbers. So having that static state is you could go in here and actually do this in your submodels and all that. But why? Because you could do one thing and it's done. Just drop the state effect on there, drag it across the whole thing, and you're done. If you want to fade it in, fade it out, you can. So the static state is your friend. All right. So let's move back to the layout and take a look at this one right here. Hopefully we'll be able to finish up with this one. And this one in particular is very difficult. Okay, it was very difficult to create, but now that it's created, you don't have to worry about it because it does it for you. What we're going to look at here is the states on this one, and there are many different definitions here. Let me see if I can zoom out slightly and get this moved in. So what I have here is the different shapes. Notice I have prints. Now, what I'm also going to show you here is Rudolph. Rudolph is a static state. So technically, I should probably name it Rudolph static. So I'm going to rename it. So static state as outline. There we go. I'm going to name it state as outline. It's just so that it makes sense. So this color right here, this is the way it's going to look just sitting there stationary with the face effect. But I also have prance, I have run, and I have gallop. And the way this works is just like the other ones. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have these different repetitive patterns that you can go through. However, this is not repeating. Each one of these are completely separate. It's not like a bell or anything else that's going to go into the same positions. This one actually has 4 different positions, but it also has those 4 different positions for different states. So you can create as many states as you want. It's not going to overload your model. What it may do is confuse your sequencing on the other end by having too many things to choose from. So try to keep it as simple as possible. But with the prance, let's take a look at the positions here. So what you don't see is the black areas. So I'm going to change the color of this black to red for just a moment, and you'll see what's being blacked out here. Okay, this red area right here is being blacked out by this prop. If I go to the 1, you'll notice that I'm also coloring in these other areas so that now I'm getting the movement that I need. And then I also can color in the hooves. Look, when you're doing colors, do yourself a favor and put the prop in front of you and check the colors, because the pixel colors and this display color are not going to match. You need something that will match in front of you and make sense to your eyes. So just do yourself a favor and do that. I'm going to change this color back to black, and then we'll go through the way this looks. So let me just hit the orange areas. So this is his legs behind him slightly. This is his legs in mid position. This is his legs. Actually, his legs, there we go, right there. This is slightly forward, and this is back towards the mid position, but slightly different from the other one. If I go to run, you'll see the same things. All right, so here's your black areas. Let me just hit the black. It actually shows up a little bit better. So there's the different positions that you'll end up seeing with these different ones. Go to gallop, and you're going to see that he is walking, but walking kind of fast. So that is the different positions that you create, but I had to create it with every different colors, and I have 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, as many as you need to get it done. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to go to the sequencer, and I'm going to show you that effect. Let me right click, and do I have the running deer in here? I don't. Must be over here. All right, running deer. We'll land it at the bottom, And I'm going to put the face effect on here. I'm going to right click, insert a layer above, and then I'm going to put the face effect because this is how I actually light him up. I don't really want to do all the other stuff. I'm going to show state as outline and do Rudolph, and now he's colored in. What's really good about this is that his eyes blink, and that's why I like to use the face effect on here. But with that being said, this is his static position. He just stands there and looks all cool and, you know, ready to run and pull. Put the state effect on here. And now you'll notice that we're at all, we're on prance. Let's go to run. Let me close this off. We're still on all, which is not good. Here's one, but let's do a timing track. We're going to do the 500 metronome. He's jerky. That's not very smooth, right? So we need to speed this up and get it pretty fast. Let's see how 250 does. Still a little jerky. I don't like that. Let's get it even better. Let's right click. Yeah, we're gonna click this thing. And we're gonna go to metronome with tags, hit OK, and let's half this. There is a method called half splitting. And if you don't know about it, what it does, it helps you to narrow things down by half splitting the distances between things. This works in a lot of stuff, but we're going to do it here. We're going to do 125, hit OK. And then whenever I get rid of this, go to 125. And that's pretty fast, but it also is a little smooth. So depending on the speeds that I want, that may work just fine. But if I wanted to slow this down some more, I know that all I need to do is bring it up just a little bit. Hopefully that's showing through. And I can change this from run to gallop. It's going to be hard for you to see it because the legs on the backside are darker. If I go to prance, that's what he looks like while he's prancing. So this is one of the motions that you can do by creating your states. You can also do this. Looks like we got 15 minutes left. We can also do this with the bats, right? What's great about states is instead of submodels concerns itself really terribly with reusing pixels. States does not care. Use them as many times as you want. Let's go to the sequencer and let's see if the bat is in there. Bat. Okay. Here's the bat. I'm also going to put the face effect on here because the bat, let's show the outline. There we go. Close you. But here's your bat. A little blurry looking, but this is what he's going to look like. And if I change it to timing track, he'll blink. That's why I like to use the face on it. Click right here in the middle and shift left and right. Control shift left and right arrow to fill this whole thing in. On a right click, I'm going to insert a layer above, and I'm going to put the state effect here. And with that being said, I'm going to change it. It is here. I'm going to do a timing track of, let's do, you know what? I want to do beats because he actually looks good going to the beat. And that's easy, right? So once you do the hard work at the very beginning, sequencing becomes easier. And that's kind of the key here, is getting all the details worked out before you get going. And I'm going to delete this, and you're going to kind of see how this effect is working underneath, right? All it's doing is bringing in the lower wings, the different colors, and blacking out the other wings. What I'm also fixing to do is I'm going to go to dark flap. This is a specialty thing that I have on it, and I'm going to put an effect underneath it. That's all it is, right? So dark flap is only black. That's all it is. It's only black. It's the upper and lower, upper and lower. But what we're doing, let me just pause it. What we're doing is we're actually blacking out this section, you know, while this side is lit up. And we are blacking out this section while this side is up. If you were to look at this differently, we're lighting up the entire prop. We're lighting up the entire prop, but with the state effect on the dark flap, we're actually only blacking out the areas that we don't want. So if you have this in a group and you have the entire model in a group, then you could put the dark flap state effect over it and it would flap as you wanted it to. If you wanted this to stay in a stationary position, you can go to state and choose which one you want and leave it there. But if you want it to move, you go to the timing track, click the beat count, or if you want it to really flap slow, you know, do whatever you need it to do. So that's how you affect these. We're running a little low on time, but I do want to show you one last thing, and then I'll open it up for a short period of questions. This is a prop that I've been playing around with. It is definitely not a finished prop, so don't laugh at me. We're going to go to the states here, and I want to show you something here. This is a swinging bell, has 3 positions, but it not only does it have 3 positions, but the actual clanger itself has multiple positions. So instead of using the repeating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to repeat this pattern all the way to 8. And we can do that with the beats, or we can do that with a metronome. Well, I'm going to do it with a metronome just to show you how this looks. And so you're not constrained to just the 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3 or anything like that. You can go as many as you want. So I want to show you how that works to give you an idea of what it looks like. And then from there, I will open up questions. So I think it's called Swinging Bell. Yep, there we go. With this one, I could create a state and have it just colored in, or I can just use the state for the swinging. And let's take a look at here. What I've done here, this is the single bell clang. It's going a little fast. So let me get away from that and go to the 500. You'll notice that it's going across here and it's just clanging back and forth. And if you wanted it to do that, you could. But let's take a look at the swinging bells, right? It's going slow so that you can see it. What you'll notice is that we're not doing everything that it's supposed to do. That's because we're repeating a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. So let's do this. Let's go to add timing track, metronome with tags. You could use beats, but I'm just going to use the metronome with tags because that way I can speed it up and slow it down if I needed to. Let's go with, I'm going to go with 500 so you can see the motion. It will not look perfect, but I'm going to bring this up to 8, hit OK, and I'm going to click, well, where'd you go? Hiding. Click off of this and back on it, because if you don't click off and back on it, it won't repopulate these timing tracks. Well, it didn't show up. Let's try this again. Click off. Hey, quit. And now back on it. Here it is, 8 tags. Okay. All right. So what you're noticing here is that the bell swings up and then the clanger is coming up and meeting the other end of the bell. So it's a 8 position movement, which, you know, is a little extra, but hey, it works. And what I want you to see with this is that you're not constrained to a few movements. You can do a lot of different things. You can yeah, I mean, your imagination here is what can take you wherever you want to go. And I hope you're able to utilize this in some of your props. You can build your bats up if you have another vendor's bats or bells or anything that's swinging, and you can use the states to animate it for you. So we're at our end of time for the session. I want to open it up to questions. Mark, if you can undo the mute function, let everybody unmute, and
yes, sir. Everybody should be able to unmute now.
Yeah, y'all just hit me with your best shot.
Anybody have a
Clear.
question?
Very clear, right? I mean, it's easy enough.
Man, I really wish I had a question for you, Jacky, but I think you covered all my questions I had earlier.
Yeah, so you got to see the bat, right?
Yeah, I saw. If you want to bring up the bat real quick, one of the states I noticed you had the same problem that I ran into. I think it was state 1 when you were showing the 4 different states on the bat and the
Oh, okay.
sequencer.
Yeah, let's go back to the sequencer, and here is the bat. All right, so state 1.
Yeah, I think it was state 1. Right there, you see it. Go back before. Even it must have been before you selected any of right there. All.
So,
See how he
so
looks
when
kind
you
of
go to
jacked up.
all, yeah. So when you go to all, what's happening is this picking 1, 2, 3, 4, anything that's there is picking it. And that's why in this case here with the dart flap, it's all black, and it's just going to black everything out that it can. So at this point, what you want to do is pick any particular one that you want. With this particular prop, and I think you've already done it, but for everybody else to see, if you have 2 of these, what you'll want to do, or you can do, is you'll go into your states, and this is where it's going to be good for you to know how to do this. Go into your states. Let's go to the dart flap. And what you'll do is change these numbers. Instead of 1, 2, you'll name this 2, 1, and this one 4, 3. And that will reverse the flapping order. So that you'll have one bat flapping up while the other one is flapping down. And they won't flap in unison that way. It adds a lot of character to your different stuff. If you have multiple bells or multiple something else and you want them to change, then all you do is reverse the order and let them go. But back to the bat, did that help your question at all? Did that?
Yeah. I'll have to play with it and see if I can replicate your wizardry.
Well, so here's the 2 things to look at there. One is that when you're on the states, right, you want to make sure that you have one chosen if you're on a state. If you don't want to use that and you want to use the timing mark, then it will, of course, it should work on its own, right? It should work as long as there's nothing else going on. If you have a face in this area, it may screw you up a little bit, but having this represents a group effect up above as well. So if this is in a whole house and you put the whole entire prop in there, what you're going to see at first is you're going to see, well, let's move it this way. What you're going to see at first is everything lit up. That should cue you in that, hey, I need to put a state effect over here. And when I put that state effect, I could go to state and I could tell it 1, right? And what that does is, like, in a area of a song that's slow and I want it to just go 1, I don't need it to flap, then it's just going to sit there stationary. If I go to an area or a chorus that's faster and I want it to flap, well, then what I will do is I will come in with another state, stretch it out for the length of the time that I want it to do it. And then at that point, I will do this and pick the, well, I like the beats for the bats, and it works pretty good. So with this, what we'll have is we'll have a stationary section, and then we'll have a flapping section, and then it's going to play out, and it's just going to, the whole thing's going to light up. So I know I need to fix that section, and that's for the dark flap section of it. Any other questions?
Yeah, Jacky, this is Vito from SoCal. I met
Hey.
you out there.
Yeah.
How's it going? Hey, so I'm as you're talking, I just brought some of the effects over to my model of my bat, but I'm not seeing any that you're the dark flap, and the only thing I'm getting in my states is flap right and left.
Now are you, let me click right here. Are you changing the state definition here?
So the state, under my state, I have so my state definition. My state definitions are only bat flap with face with beats, and
Okay,
back
so you
flap.
you have an older model, okay?
Okay.
It's fine, it works. You just have to work it out a little bit different. But if you go to the download and come on, and close these silly ones out and get to the good one. Go to Halloween. Where you at, Bat? Version of your.
Oh, okay. I just downloaded it and I see it. So now I can just use dark flap, throw my
Yeah.
colors underneath it, and we should be good.
Yeah, and so that was still there in the older version. You just had to use it differently. And I've tried to streamline it a little bit to make it easier, and that's where this new version has come into.
So I
it
want to
will
choose
work.
so I want to choose dark flap, throw my color underneath there. And then on the state, I'm going to choose 1 or 2 or all.
You can choose 1 or 2, not all. All's going to screw you up. Choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then or if you want to, you can choose a timing track and let it run with that.
You made it so much easier. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I just chose beats and there it goes. It's working perfectly.
Yeah,
Hey,
see, the
Jacky,
hard part's already done. Yeah.
I got a
That's
quick question.
fantastic.
On that dark flap that you just brought in on that new model, if I wanted to import that to my existing states that I already have, what's the best way to do that without overriding all my other states?
So what you would do is go over here. You would actually, I'm sorry, right here. Go into the states,
Yep.
and then you would click on these 3 dots and
Okay.
import from model,
Yep.
and then pick that particular prop that has it.
Yep.
Now, when you do that, I'm gonna hit OK and show you. It's going to say, "Hey, states with the same name already exist. Would you like to override them?" And if you say no, it's going to bring in some other stuff that's not there, like dark flap.
Yeah.
If it's not there, it will bring that in. So I'm going to hit no or yes. If I hit yes, it's going to overwrite anything with the newer version. So in your case, if you're just wanting that, hit no. If you're not wanting to change anything else.